Eagles fans, you're now locked into the Think Eagles YouTube channel with Pablo Gary, the #1 Eagles fan from Maryland.
Kick it and go, kick it and go. With a stiff arm, spin move, in zones, go. Off the sideline, a touchdown, I put on a show. Kick it and go. I had to kick off and go. Kick it and go. I had to kick off and go. With a stiff arm, spin move, in zones, go.
Let's go. Eagles on 3, 1, 2, 3.
There you go.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
We had a meeting yesterday, and it was like a whole bunch of don't do's, and so I'm just trying to go down there, win a football game, and come back home.
What's going on, Eagles Nation? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Pablo Gary, and I am your #1 Eagles fan from Maryland, and you are now locked into Think Eagles. Welcome to the final video of the offseason. The Philadelphia Eagles are set to take flight to Brazil in their huge Week 1 matchup against the high-powered young Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, Josh Jacobs, and Jair Alexander and company. Ready to give the Eagles their first L of the season, but I don't think it's going to happen. So we're going to preview it today, man. I'm really excited that football is back. Happy Sunday. This is the final Sunday of Eagles not playing football. So I'm really excited about that, man. And yeah, I think, coming into this game, just like the football players do, just like the coaches do and the staff, I think we need to go into this game with a certain mindset. No matter what happens, win, lose, or draw, it's Week 1. Don't overreact. Don't overreact, because the fact is the Philadelphia Eagles, we do need time to gel. We need time to settle in. Though we've done a lot of great things, Howie Roseman has made a lot of great moves. I'm just suggesting that we allow those great moves and everything that we did to actually grow and blossom into the fullness of what it can be. I know sometimes as fans, we tend to overreact. So for me, like if the Eagles go down as I expect us to do and we win the ball game, for me, it's not, it's Super Bowl, right? No, it's like, all right, now how do we get better? Because we've been here before. The Philadelphia Eagles have started 10-1 before, and we've seen the results of that. So for me, I'm being very, very careful for how I look at a win and a loss, because last year we were winning, but the winning was covering up the weaknesses that we actually had as a football team, which subsequently hurt us in the end. So if we have to take some nicks and bruises, if we have to take some early losses to ultimately get to where we're trying to go, I'm 1000% on board with that. Now, I just asked Siri how far the plane ride was, and she told me it was over 4,000 miles by flight and 12 hours long. So I would agree that that's a very, very long flight to come back home without your first win. And I don't think that would be a great way to start the season, especially considering how we ended last year. And so for me, what are some of the key things in this game that I'm looking for? Offensively, obviously it starts with Jalen Hurts and Kellen Moore. I want us to really just build this thing brick by brick. That's it. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for the Philadelphia Eagles to finally start being known as a team that can beat you schematically. Like too many times last year, I would watch the Philadelphia Eagles, and at home, I would be sitting on my couch calling out plays before it happened, right? And I think that's something that just can't happen. I want to see Kellen Moore play chess, not checkers. Right? We have to start beating teams schematically, not relying so heavily on the fact that we have talent. The Philadelphia Eagles, roster for roster, can compete with any team in the NFL. Roster for roster on paper, but we know it's not what you do on paper. And so I think Kellen Moore coming into this game, how much does he lean to the pass game, right? How much does he lean to the run game, right? I think both should marry each other. I think both should help each other out. I think if the passing game is not working, go to the run. Don't force it. If the run game is not working, go to the pass until it all starts to come together. What are some of the motions that you use? What are some of these these plays that you can dial up against that defense to expose them, not because we have the talent to, but because we have the correct scheme to do so? That's what I'm looking for. Kellen Moore is a scientist. He's a coach that, man, he can play on the eyes of the linebackers, the eyes of the safeties, the eyes of the cornerbacks. And so that's where, to me, in this game, that's where the Eagles are going to, make their hay on offense and sort of crunch out that win. Another piece to that is how quickly can wide receiver Jahan Dotson, how quickly can he get implemented within this offense, right? He's talked about being in the playbook. He's talked about, since he's got to Philadelphia, that's all he's been trying to do is sort of get ahead of this playbook curve so that he can make an instant impact in this offense. And for me, I think the Green Bay Packers on the outside, they match up with us with Jair Alexander. Can't take anything away from his game. All pro in this league. Great cornerback. I like him against A.J. Brown. I think that's going to be a battle all day long. Eric Stokes, former Georgia cornerback, ran a 4.3. Him and Devontae Smith, they kind of match up from a body-to-body perspective. I don't know if he can sort of stick with Devontae Smith route for route and sort of stick in his hip pocket the entire game. I doubt that very seriously. The Green Bay Packers, they're going to have an answer for two things with this Philadelphia Eagles offense. The first thing is, who is going to stop Jahan Dotson in the slot? And I think he is going to be very pivotal for the Philadelphia Eagles, particularly in this game. And the second thing is, can Jalen Hurts make the Green Bay Packers pay with his legs? Because if we can get our running game that goes through Saquon Barkley, if we can get that going, if we can get Saquon going, Green Bay is going to have a long day. Because if I'm Preston Smith, if I'm even Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark and those guys, and I have to tackle Saquon Barkley for 4 quarters, if I see Jalen Hurts coming out of the backfield trying to take off and run, I mean, it's just something that you just don't want to do. It's just an added stress to that defense. And so how many layers of added stress can Kellen Moore put on the Green Bay Packers defense? That is how the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win. How we lose is if our defense has zero answers for that young Green Bay offense led by Jordan Love. The Eagles are kind of similar with the Green Bay Packers. They have Jordan Love, who they just paid their franchise guy, who they believe to be. The Eagles just paid Jalen Hurts. They have a young defense. We have a young defense. They have some pieces on offense. We have some pieces on offense. And so for me, our defense, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith Jr., Bryce Huff, right? This is not the preseason where you're playing snaps here, you're playing snaps there. We are expecting you to play the entire game and produce the entire game, right? And so the great thing is we do have Vic Fangio, who can play. He's a very perception type of coach, old school, but he'll show you one thing that looks like something and you perceive it to be something, but it's something totally different. So I think that's how we can kind of get by on defense, by being so young. We got to have a Vic Fangio that's over it, that could kind of help us out schematically. So much like how I'm saying on offense, Kellen Moore has to scheme against the Green Bay Packers defense. I think our defensive coordinator, we have to do the same exact thing to Jordan Love. He's 25 years old, so he hasn't seen everything there is to see in the NFL. He hasn't seen all the coverages that there are to see. I think he's been in the league for 3-4 years. Vic Fangio has been coaching for over 30 years in the National Football League. So how do we take his knowledge? How do we take the information of Vic Fangio, infuse it into our young players, and allow those guys to make plays on the football field? I think that's what we're going to have to do. So for me, man, this is truly a matchups game. Like, you bring in Saquon, you bring in Jahan Dotson to create other matchups, to make it easier on other guys. This is going to be a true matchup game. And the Green Bay Packers, man, they have guys that can match up at every level, right? The linebacker position, I think he's questionable coming into the game, but he's a player that, there are a lot of Eagles fans that really looked at him coming out of the draft, and I was one of them, talking about Adrian Cooper. linebacker out of Texas A&M. This young dude can flat out get it, man. He can ball. And so, they have some pieces, man. They have the other kid that I like coming out of Georgia, the safety, Javon Bullard. He's looking to lay the wood. Pause. They also added another safety in McKinney from Giants from last year. So I think both teams have talent. Both teams have talent. To me, this game is going to come down to who can be more disciplined. What team is going to be more disciplined? What team can play together? And ultimately, like, just block out the noise. Just literally block out the noise. I get it. We're in Brazil. I understand we're out the country, but it's football. It's football at the end of the day. And so, I think ultimately, I do believe the Philadelphia Eagles will get the win. I think our offense, Saquon Barkley is just too much for the Green Bay Packers. I think his game coupled with our passing game and tight end game is just too much, along with the added stress of Jalen Hurts and his legs. He is going to have to run. And I'm not just saying this game, I'm saying the entire season. Jalen Hurts is going to have to say, okay, these guys are trying to prove to us. And I think psychologically, that's a way for him to sort of get off. Like, okay, teams are trying to stop us by trying to prove to us that, hey, I can stop AJ, I can stop Devontae Smith one-on-one. Okay, so what happens if Kellen Moore sends all the wide receivers on 9 routes, everybody is just running straight, right? You take Dallas Goedert, you have him on a drag route, so you cleared out that middle linebacker. Guess what? Now you just left a huge void in the middle of the field. Jalen Hurts is athletically gifted. He can outrun just about any D lineman in this league, and so now he can just have free reins to take off, right? And so that's something that I'm hoping that Jalen Hurts, Kellen Moore really doesn't stifle Jalen Hurts in that way. Let him use all of his ability. Let him use all of his God-given gifts, and don't limit him. Like, this is not Kenny Pickett. You don't have to just stay away from certain play calls because the player just can't make the play. We paid Jalen Hurts. He can run and do everything that we need him to do. So, I think this is a game out the gate, man. I think this is a must win, but if we don't win, I'm not going to be over dramatic about it, right? I understand that this is a long season. You got 17 games plus the playoffs, right? That's our goals. We have lofty goals here in Philadelphia, and I think it starts with the playoffs. I'm not thinking Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles have to get out there. We have to prove it. Like, don't put me in the playoffs. I know that's our goal, but if the Eagles don't prove that they belong in the playoffs, don't put us in the playoffs. That's just, how I look at it. So, I'm really excited, man, that just looking in the future, like Sundays ahead is Eagles football, man, is just greatness ahead, man. And I think it's going to start with this game here. It's going to start with this game here and our young guys. To wrap the video up, I will say this. There was a article that came out basically talking about the Eagles starting defense. And I noticed that Isaiah Rodgers, the cornerback out of Indianapolis, who the Eagles brought in, he is the starting cornerback. So it's Isaiah and Darius Slay. Basically, Quinyon Mitchell is a starter too, but he's more of a starter in the slot. And to me, I don't necessarily agree with that. I know that Vic Fangio wants to get as many great players on the field as he possibly can. But to me, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you don't have plans to re-sign Isaiah Rodgers next year, bringing him back, I don't understand why we would invest games into him as a starter on the outside. Like, he could be a starter at the nickel position all day long. I think that's where he fits. I think asking Quinyon Mitchell, your first round pick, putting more on his plate than he needs to have on his plate, to me, I think the Eagles, you could kind of get in a little bit of trouble when you do that. I think we should have just kept Quinyon Mitchell on the outside. He's comfortable there. That's where he's going to be. When you look at his future in Philadelphia, he's not going to be a slot cornerback. So I get them trying to drum up, oh, he needs to be versatile. No, the versatility conversation really starts with and ends with Cooper DeJean, right? Because he's really, to me, he projects as a safety. And so to me, I respect, Vic Fangio's call there, but to me, if I'm not necessarily going to be committed to a 25, 26-year-old cornerback, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, to me, go ahead, kickstart Quinyon Mitchell's career on the outside. Let him learn just that one position, since that's where he's going to be. So we'll see how it plays out. If Isaiah struggles, what happens? So then do you switch him out? Do you flip-flop? Do you put Quinyon Mitchell right side cornerback and then you put Isaiah in the slot, and now you sort of, the player, you openly doubt the player, or telling the player that, hey, it's not working out for you. So to me, we'll see how it plays out. I could be wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that Isaiah Rodgers, is on that outside and he is doing everything that he needs to do to help this defense. So ultimately, I think the Philadelphia Eagles will come back home safe and sound with a win over the Green Bay Packers, man. So thank you guys so much for checking out today's video. I'm Pablo Gary. This is Think Eagles, and I will catch you guys in the next video. And hopefully I will be saying the Philadelphia Eagles have defeated the Green Bay Packers in their Week 1 matchup. Till next time, peace.
You've been watching the Think Eagles YouTube channel with your host, Pablo Gary. Thanks for always showing that brotherly love. Catch you on the next one. Fly, Eagles, fly.